Welcome to Code Report. I'm your host, Connor Hoekstra. One note off the top of the episode, Dennis, who is the C++ reviewer for some of the solutions and videos that I post here, posted an article on comparison of linear and binary search, and he provides an alternative implementation of binary search that in certain cases can be much preferable to the standard implementation of binary search in the C++ library. So if you're interested in algorithms, which I assume most of you are, seeing as you are subscribed or watching this video, feel free to check out the link in the description below. It's an awesome article. Taking a look at the contest that happened last week, we had 7 contests, and it started with a Top Coder SRM 736 contest, which it did indeed happen. We weren't sure last week because technically I think there was an SRM 736 back in June, but they had a contest on Wednesday regardless. Then we had 3 contests from Code Forces, round 504 on Friday, Educational 49 on Saturday, and then round 505 just this morning on Sunday. On Friday, we also had from Hacker Earth the start of the August Circuits contest, which is still ongoing. We also had the weekly LeetCode contest number 98 on Saturday evening, and then on Sunday morning as well, we had from CodeChef the August Cook-Off. Taking a look at the top 10 leaderboards, here they are for the Top Coder LeetCode and CodeChef contests. Highlighted here are the individuals who placed on multiple top 10 leaderboards. Tourist taking 3rd spot in the Div 1 Top Coder contest and 2nd in the Div 1 CodeChef contest. LHIC placing 7th and 3rd in the same contest respectively. And Yui taking the 4th spot in the LeetCode contest and the 1st spot in the Div 1 Lunchtime. And we also had a ton of other huge names. We had 5 legendary grandmasters out of our top 6 in the Div 1, including RNG_58, KSun48, Umnik, XEDYH, and Petra. Continuing on to the Code Forces contests, once again highlighted are the individuals who placed on multiple top 10 leaderboards. So taking 1st spot in both round 504 and the Educational 49 Code Forces contest was Demopan, or Demopan, I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Then taking 3rd and 9th in round 504 and 505 is FJZZQ 2002. Bank taking 4th in both the 504 and 505 contests, and Igor taking 5th and 10th. And we also had some other big names: KO Osaga, Umnik, Natsugiri, KSun48, and others. Taking a look at the overall updated Code Forces top 10 leaderboard, we didn't have any changes in the top 3, but Petra and Umnik swapped, so Petra's now in 4th and Umnik is now in 5th. We had K Osaga popping onto the top 10 with his top finishes 2 weeks ago. Bank jumping back into the top 10. He's now ranked 7th. And Swiss Stock is now once again in the top 10 at 8th. And FJZZQ 2002 with his 2 finishes in 504 and 505 takes 9th place. And in 10th is Anta. In today's video, we're going to be covering the solution to problem BFTT from the CodeChef August Cook-Off entitled Balsa for the 3. The problem states, it's well known that our friend Balsa likes the digit 3 very much. He's so obsessed with the digit that he spends time thinking about it even during holidays. Today, Balsa invented an interesting problem. For a positive integer n, find the smallest integer greater than n such that its decimal representation contains the digit 3 at least 3 times. You are given the integer n. Please solve this problem for Balsa. And for the constraints of the problem, we're going to get t, the number of test cases between 1 and 40, and n, our number that we need to modify so that it has at least 3 3s, is going to be between 1 and 2 times 10 to the 9th. So let's take a look at the examples that CodeChef provided us with. So here are examples. The first number here, 3, is just t, the number of test cases, and then we're given 3 integers n, so 221, 333, and 3002. And the output that we should give for these 3 numbers is 333 for 221, 1333 for 333, and 3033 for 3002. So you can see simply that all we've done with each of these numbers is we've sort of added 1 continuously until we hit a number with 3 3s in it, which is pretty straightforward. So this is a very simple problem, but the reason I chose this problem is because of the bonus solution that I'll be providing in a different language that I'm trying to learn more about. So let's skip straight to the code, as the implementations for this problem are going to be pretty straightforward. So here is our C++ solution. The first 4 lines of code is simply just basically reading in our input. We have our integer t, the number of test cases, and then a while loop decrementing t, and then we read in our integer n, and then we have a while loop that just iterates until we are going to break when we hit our condition. So the first thing we do is we do a post increment on n, because we need to look for the number that is greater than our current input, so we're not actually checking if n has 3 3s. Then we simply create a string from n, and then we use our count function in C++ to count the number of 3s, and if the number of 3s is less than 3, we want to continue to iterate. And at the point that we find a string that has 3 3s in it, we want to output that and then break out of our while loop. So pretty straightforward. That's all there is to the C++ solution. So let's move on to the Java solution. So in the Java solution, it's very, very similar, just slight syntactic differences. So when reading in, we're using our scanner here, we read in T. We don't have implicit conversions in Java, so we have to add this not equal to 0. And then we have the while true loop again, our post increment on n. We don't have the toString function sort of globally. We have to call it on the integer class and pass in n, but that gets our string s. And then we can use the cars method on our string, and then use filter and a lambda here, and then the count function to get the number of characters that are equal to 3 from our string. And then the last 3 lines are basically identical. If c is less than 3, continue to iterate, otherwise output and break. Moving on to our Python solution, this is definitely the most concise and, in my opinion, the best solution of all of the 4 solutions that we're going to look at. At the top here, we read in our input t, then we have a for loop for our number of test cases, then we read in our input n and add 1 to it, and then we simply loop in our while loop while the count of the characters that are 3 is less than 3 in a conversion of our integer n to a string. We just want to post increment n and continue to do this. And once we finish this while loop, we can just print out n. So Python, as I mentioned before, has the best solution of all 4. And our bonus solution is in Bash. So I am a Bash noob, and I'm trying to learn it because I just recently switched over to operating on a Linux machine for my day job, whereas for the past 4 to 5 years I've been on Windows. And Bash is extremely useful when you're in the terminal. So I figured that I would add some solutions here and there for more simpler problems that you can solve in Bash. So walking through this, in order to read in from standard input, we use the keyword read. Then we have a for loop, and we use this syntax to get a sequence from 1 to t, and then we have our sort of do and done for our for loop, and then we're going to read in each of our numbers m. Now we have a while loop with the same do and done syntax. We do a post increment on our variable n at the top. Then we make a copy of this into x so that we're not modifying n, and then we echo x, and then using the piping operators, we can translate x by basically removing all of the characters that are not 3. So the D means delete and the C means complement. So basically it's saying from our variable x, delete all of the characters that are not 3, and then our next piping operation, we are going to get the word count, but we're passing it this flag, which means get the characters instead of the words. So WC-C basically means get the character count. So we're translating our string or sort of variable x to be just the 3's in it and then counting the length of that variable. And so this next line says that if now our sort of modified x has, if it's greater than 2, meaning that it's 3 or higher, we then break, and that's the end of our if statement here, which is a bit odd, but it does the trick. And then once we finish this while loop, sort of after breaking out, we can just echo n, and we're going to do this for each one of our test cases. So unfortunately, after spending more time than I'm willing to admit trying to get this to compile, this failed because it TLEs. So I'm not really sure why. Maybe it has something to do with using the TR, or maybe the time limit for bash is just slower, but it was a good exercise to sort of get more familiar with bash. And the one thing that I'd comment overall, if you're trying to learn bash yourself, spaces are very, very important. So if you remove some of the spaces here, or some of the lack of spaces on either side of the equal sign, or the space here, it won't compile. So originally, I thought bash was amazing, less so now that I've realized that spacing is super important, and your code will not work if you are missing a space. But like I said, good learning exercise in general. So the last thing to talk about is the time complexity, which for this problem is going to be t test cases times looping through basic art number, which is going to be of length, log base 10n, and then we're going to have to do that at most 1,000 times, because typically if you're at 221, which was one of our test cases, you're going to get to 333, but the case where you're going to have to do at most 1,000 is going to be when you're at like 1,034. The next number that you're going to get to, or sorry, not 1,034, but like 1,334. The next number that you're going to get to that has 3 3's in it is going to be 2,333, which is 999 iterations. So technically it's big O of t times 1,000 times log base 10 of n, but you should drop the 1,000 because you don't keep constants in your time complexity, and really because n is bounded by 2 times 10 to the 9, you could drop the log to the end. So really it's more linear than anything, but you could technically say that the time complexity is this. Taking a look at the contests happening next week, we have 3 contests on Saturday from CodeChef. We have the August lunchtime contest. From Top Coder, we have the wildcard round of the TCO 18, which is taking place at 9 a.m. Unfortunately, you had to qualify for this contest, so if you haven't qualified, you won't be able to participate. And of course, we have the weekly Leak Code Contest 99 in the evening. And also remember that we currently have the Hacker Earth August Circuits contest that is continuing on for the next week.
As always, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, hit that like button. If you want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter for reminders 30 minutes before contests start, and you can find all of the code shown in my videos on my GitHub page. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.